Hello and welcome to GP Podcast. You know, in the high-stakes race for AI dominance, the story we're all told seems pretty clear. But what if the ending has already been written and we just haven't been paying close enough attention? In this explainer, we're going to dissect the evidence that suggests one tech giant hasn't just caught up, it has already won. So let's just ask the big question right up front, shall we? When you think of the leader in AI, who pops into your head? For the longest time, the answer was just obvious, but wow, the landscape has shifted dramatically, almost right under our noses. The popular story might not be the real story anymore. And for a while, that story was totally true. OpenAI was the undisputed champ. I mean, ChatGPT took the world by storm. And Google's initial responses were, well, meh is probably the kindest word. The tech was there, sure, but the products, they just lacked that spark. It was a really clear dynamic. You had a leader and you had a follower. Simple as that. Okay, so let's get into it, because this is where everything changed. There was this fundamental power shift that just completely rewrote the rules of the game, and it all kicked off with one name, Gemini. Look, this wasn't just another incremental update. Models like Gemini 3 were an absolute breakthrough. All of a sudden, Google wasn't just playing the game of, we have more users. No, it was competing, and a lot of the time winning, on pure, raw, head-to-head performance. Independent tests were showing it was in the exact same league as OpenAI's best, and for a lot of tasks, it was even better. The follower had finally caught up to the lead. So once performance was basically a tie, the battle shifted to a totally different front. And this, right here, is where Google's first massive advantage comes into play, offering way more value for a lot less cash. Okay, so what's really fascinating about this is the sheer difference in what you get for your money. You've got other companies charging hundreds of dollars for, more tokens or early access. Meanwhile, Google's top plan is about half that price. And for that, you're not just getting a better AI model, you get this whole suite of premium stuff, from a ridiculous 30 terabytes of storage to YouTube Premium. It's a completely different league of value. And this isn't just about what looks good on paper. Users are actually feeling the difference in quality. I think this quote just captures the mood perfectly. The whole user experience has flipped. One feels like capable but kind of dated tech, while the other feels like you're getting a sneak peek into the future. And this isn't just a few people saying this. A recent poll shows a really stunning reversal. When you ask people what their daily go-to AI is, a majority are now saying Google Gemini. I mean, can you imagine seeing a result like this just a year ago? It would have been completely unthinkable. The whole game has changed. So let's talk about the next piece of the puzzle. And this one, well, it's almost impossible to compete with: distribution. So Google isn't just building an AI product. It's weaving AI into the very fabric of the internet itself. Just let this number sink in for a second. 3 billion with a B. That is how many people use Google search every single day. And now Gemini is just baked right in. It's not some separate app you have to go open or a website you need to visit. It's just there, ready to help on the most popular website on planet Earth. And this just shows you the insane scale of their advantage. It's not just search. It's Gmail, it's Docs, YouTube, the entire Android operating system, Chrome, Maps. The list just goes on and on. Every single one of these platforms has billions of users, and AI is being plugged into all of them. And that, right there, is the fundamental difference in strategy. It's the whole ballgame. OpenAI needs to convince you to come to them. But Google's AI, it's already wherever you are. It's in your email, your documents, your phone. It's becoming totally omnipresent. That's not just an advantage. That is a potential checkmate. Building on that, let's talk about the fuel for this whole race: money. Because in the world of AI, where development costs are just astronomical, the financial reality of these two companies could not be more different. I mean, this just lays it all out in the starkest terms possible. OpenAI, for all its genius, is a wildly unprofitable company. We're talking a projected loss of $17 billion in a single year. They're just burning through cash. Google, on the other hand, is literally printing money, $70 billion in profit. They have basically unlimited resources to fund their AI dreams, and they could run Gemini at a loss forever if they wanted to. And you can see the real-world results of this multi-front war. Just look at the traffic share. A year ago, ChatGPT was totally dominant, with about 75% of the market. Today, that's down to 64%. It's a steady erosion of market share, like a death by 1,000 cuts, while Google's user base is stable and growing. The momentum has clearly, undeniably shifted. Okay, Now for what might be the single most telling piece of evidence in this entire race. And it's not a press release or some new feature. No, it's an internal signal of pure panic from the competition. So, in late 2025, OpenAI's CEO apparently sent out an internal memo that, in the tech world, is absolutely terrifying: a code red. Now, for those who don't know, a code red is basically the corporate equivalent of pulling the big red fire alarm. It means you drop what you are doing, I don't care what it is, because the company is facing an existential threat. It is a sign of a true emergency. And what was this existential threat? Google. The incredible reviews for Gemini 3 and the declining traffic for ChatGPT apparently triggered a full-blown panic. And this wasn't just a temporary fire drill. The report says they are still in code red mode. That is a state of sustained fear. Let's be honest, companies don't declare a code red when they're winning. They declare it when they know they're at serious risk of losing. So with these two giants locked in this huge battle, where does that leave everybody else? Well, it's starting to look a lot like they're all just competing for the bronze medal. So what about the other players out there? Well, you've got Anthropic, which has a fantastic AI for coding, but it's heavily backed by Google. So a win for them is kinda still a win for Google. You have others focused on just commoditizing models, not building real integrated products. And sure, you've got wildcards like Elon Musk's Grok, which is interesting, but they just don't have the user base to threaten Google's massive ecosystem. So when you really add it all up, the superior value, the unmatched distribution, that financial fortress, and a main competitor that's in a state of sustained panic, the conclusion becomes pretty clear. And we didn't even get into their other ventures, like self-driving cars or their huge deals in robotics. Google's position across the entire stack seems truly, truly unassailable. So I'll end by just turning the question back to you. After seeing this breakdown of all the evidence, the value, the distribution, the money, and the internal reactions, has it maybe changed your perspective at all? Which AI has become your go-to, your indispensable tool? If you liked this explainer, please subscribe, leave a like, and maybe comment on what you liked most. And of course, share it. Your support helps us create more deep dives on topics just like this one. Thanks for tuning in.